Good evening and welcome to the Voices of the Vic podcast with myself, Joe Thomas, and tonight I'm joined by Caity Kirkley. We're here to discuss the 2-1 defeat at Vicarage Road to Millwall on Saturday. First of all, Caity, you were at the game obviously at the weekend. I know it's your first one for a few weeks. How are you? How was it? And was it nice to be back at the Vic?
Yeah, I mean, I travelled back down for the weekend, so I got to go to the game, which is always nice, but was a shame that we couldn't really, keep that winning streak going. I mean, first half, I thought we've got this. Second half was just dreadful, but yeah, it was obviously nice to be back and stuff, and it was really nice weather as well. But obviously, we couldn't match it with the result.
I know, yeah, it was lovely to see the sunshine over Vicarage Road. It's been a while. Did you get a chance to? Did you actually see any of the guys, Ben or Cam at all?
No, I mean, I didn't even know that Ben was there because did he go?
He did. He put late on in the. It was, to be fair, it was very late in the chat saying he'd got someone to look after Isla last minute, so he was making his way to the Vic. So.
Oh, I didn't even see the message because I thought he wasn't going, but I didn't see anyone else. But we don't really like where we sit is kind of far away from them, so
yeah.
But yeah.
Up in the gods by where I usually sit if I'm yeah, it was as you said, it was a really weird game of the weekend, wasn't it? I think, with Watford we're either usually good or we're bad. There's never usually an in-between with Watford, but for one reason or another, obviously Tom's put his reasons out for why it was poor, but it was a very strange game, wasn't it? Because we, like you say, we were really good in the first half. We looked really good on the ball, passing the ball around well, getting forward. We were going forwards with passing as opposed to going backwards. And then all of a sudden, like the second half, we came out and it just completely changed, didn't it? It was a completely different feel about the game second half, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, the first half was some of the best football I've seen us play. We completely controlled the game. Should have had about 3 or 4 goals. Millwall did absolutely nothing. And we knew, obviously, we're always going to make it hard for ourselves, being Watford. We're always not going to take our chances and go in sort of only a goal up when we should have had more. But then the pressure's on because a team like Millwall, they're going to come out fighting in the second half. And I don't know what Tom said to the team at half time, because that side that then came out, I was like, this is like a different team. How can so much change in 15 minutes? I thought, this is crazy. So yeah, it was just really disappointing to collapse that bad. I mean, we've seen Watford do that, in the depths of our Watford depression, and it's not something I would have expected them this season. Normally we can hold on to our leads quite well, so I was really disappointed with how we performed in the second half and to then go on to lose the game.
Yeah, that's actually funny you mentioned that, because I could be proved wrong here, and if someone's watching and knows the stat to be different, I actually believe that's the first time this season that we've gone ahead and lost a game.
I think it is.
So, and in fact, I think it's the first time for a little while actually that we've done that. So, certainly under, I think, Tom Cleverley. I don't think we did it last season. So, yeah, so it was a very unusual second half, and I think it's fair to say that I can't pin it on the Doumbia injury and that situation, but because I think for the first sort of 8 or 9 minutes when we came out at the beginning of the second half, we did look a little bit sluggish and looked like we were starting to tire. But I do think that had he stayed on the pitch, I don't think potentially the collapse would have happened. But then it could have happened worse, or we might have even drawn. Like, who knows? You don't know, but it certainly was a contribution, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, we're making excuses here and stuff, and I know it's not good and we should just accept that we were really poor. But, we've seen it in different games when a young player like Doumbia gets injured, and his reaction, he was obviously very upset and visibly in a lot of pain. Obviously, we still don't know the extent of the injury, but to me, it's always bad when they go down from nothing. It's probably worse. And the fact that he was in tears and was visibly very distraught. Sometimes, the players could have been a bit like thrown off a bit by that. And I know it sounds a bit far-fetched and it sounds like the raining meme from Arsenal, the pitch was wet or whatever. But yeah, it's stuff like that. And I think it did change the game 100% when he went off. I mean, I'm sure we'll speak about him, but Bayo genuinely adds nothing to that side. When he came on, I didn't even notice him on the pitch. I don't even think he touched the ball. He is just dreadful. Like, he just genuinely did nothing. And I'd rather see Dumbia perform how he's performing and not score goals than have Bayo play as he's playing. Like, at least Dumbia tries. At least he's got energy. At least he's running for the ball. And I've seen tweets about the extent of his injury, and I saw Andrew French say that he's not sure. It was just a reaction of a young player, sort of first time getting injured. It was sort of a bigger reaction than maybe it could just be a couple weeks or it could be months. Obviously, we don't know. But obviously, there's a comment here about Bayo being our only striker. That really worries me, especially going into the last couple games. You want to be on your top form. You want your best players. We sat on here a couple of weeks ago and said, this is the push. This is the last 10 games. We've got Bar coming back from injury. Wiley's fit. Duomo, like all those people coming back. And now we've been hit with this. And Bayo is now our only basically fit striker to the extent that we know. And it just roots back to the recruitment, because you could have said in January when we didn't sign the striker that this would happen. So we're just kind of having to suffer the consequences now from that.
Yeah, it's interesting because in all fairness, when January came, I actually didn't think that I couldn't see where Dumbia was going to get a start, although, we all wanted it. I was surprised that actually he's had his run in the team. I'm really glad that he's had his run in the team. And, just shows how much of a player he is and how much he's done for the team since he's come in, that we're in this position now where we're all just, we've now got Bayo. And, I think the commentators picked it up at the weekend and said, Bayo's got to earn his plate. He's got to, show that he's up for it again, because he's obviously had a spell out the team. There was one situation where I was impressed with him, where he picked up the ball, managed to hold the ball up and beat a couple of players and run down the right wing. Apart from that, didn't really offer anything. Ian's comment that he mentioned, he said about, do you think Okerson will get a chance now? I mean, he's obviously been performing in the is it under 23? It's not. Is it under 23? So I can't even think what he's in. It's the academy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know he's been scoring with injuries. I do potentially see. It's tough because Tom's probably thinking, what do I do? We're still, for me, if we can get 7 points out of these next 3 games, I know people will probably watch this and laugh and go, 7 points, you're having a laugh. But if we can get 6 or 7 points out of these 3 games for the rest of this month, which is Swansea home, Oxford away, Plymouth at home, I still believe with the way results have been going in the Championship and how people aren't consistently winning. And we saw Bristol City at the weekend slip up again at home. Blackburn lost away at Derby. Teams aren't the only team that in and around those positions at the moment that are winning consistently is Coventry. So there probably for me is only one place in the playoffs left that's up for grabs with how well Coventry are playing at the moment. Who knows? I mean, we could sneak it. It's looking unlikely. I think that we've probably got around a 10-15% chance of making it at this point. And, going to that comment of Okerson, I think if we were to maybe not get a result on Wednesday, we might see him come in if Dumbia's going to have a spell out of the side because there's probably nothing to play for. Obviously, I know Tom won't admit we wouldn't get the playoffs, But if you see a few youngsters come in, it may be because he's probably thinking, just give them a chance, give them a run out, and maybe start integrating for next season and see who he can maybe bring up from that side of things into the first team. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where we are. I think going into April, if we've had a bad run over these 3 games, what kind of April looks like, because you don't want to obviously slide down the table and really kind of finish in a low position, but at the same time, it could be an opportunity to start giving people give people a chance. So yeah, Bio's mind be in the right places. He's gone in 10 games time. Yeah, will he? That's the other thing is, like, we've seen Rajovic is likely to get sold, isn't he, to Bromby at this stage. We've kind of seen that an agreement's been reached. So technically, Dumbia is, when fit, our only striker that's at the club, really, isn't he? So it's going to be a long old summer, isn't it? Just a quick mention. We were obviously just briefly chatting before we come on. It's just worth congratulating Tom for reaching a year in charge at the club. He's the longest person to have been in charge at the club since Javi Gracia, who left in, what was it, September?
2019?
Yeah, so it's coming, 5.5 years ago. How would you sum up in a few words, Caity, how his first year in charge has gone?
Yeah, he's been excellent, and for me as well. I can't believe it when I saw that stat. I was like, it's flown by completely, and I actually forget that he did have quite a few months in charge towards the end of last season, and it feels like he almost had like a couple games, but he actually had months. But no, he's been excellent. I mean, I know the fact that we're sitting here on the podcasts every week talking about our chance of playoffs, even being in the running for playoffs, is crazy. I mean, I can't wait to look back at our season predictions that we did at the start of the season, because I'm pretty sure we all said outside relegation, just outside relegation. And yeah, the table has been really tight this season, and I know there's like 6 points separating like 6th and 15th. Like, I know it's crazy like that, but the fact that we're still up there, and for me, this has got to be one of my favourite seasons probably since the FA Cup season, because of how consistent we've been. We've played decent football, which I think is all that we wanted. We just wanted to play good football, and that's what Tom's given us. I know there's been ups and downs with him and, the whole ownership and everything like that, but he's honestly been brilliant, and I hope there are many more years to come for Tom and Watford.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me is, I think he even alluded to the fact that we've been lucky in quite a few results, and I think when he said after the Stoke game that perhaps the reason we didn't win the Stoke game was we've had luck in other games, and sometimes it's just not meant to be. But I think we have played well a lot more than what we've done in the previous 3, 4, 5 seasons since Gracia. And I think the most important thing for all of us is that we've all fell in love with the club again a little bit due to him. Obviously, I get there's been issues with ownership, and we've all kind of got our opinions on Gino and what we feel about him and where we think the club should go. But ultimately, I think we love Tom. We love the job that he's doing, and we love the fact that he's so passionate about the club, and the fans have bought into that. So I really do hope, we're probably not, like we said, we're probably not going to make the playoffs, but I really do hope that he's given an opportunity to get, we can say it now, but it's probably not going to happen, get some players in the summer build a bit more of a squad than what he's had this year, and hopefully we can go again and give it a go next season. But who knows? We never know what Gino's thinking. We never know what Scott's thinking, and we never know who's going to be in charge from 1 minute to the next. So just enjoy it for now, and we'll deal with the tears once Tom goes, if he goes in the summer, once it happens, eh? So we'll just talk a little bit, obviously, about the game and the players at the weekend. Selvik, I mean, I can't really blame him for. I did question his positioning for Josh Coburn's header on Saturday. Couldn't really do much about the first goal. It's one of those where as soon as a ball goes through a player's legs, the keeper's never really making the save. How did you kind of make his performance? It was a shame because I think he's what him and the defence have been on a run. What is it, 3.5 games without conceding? So it's a shame to see that record go. But yeah, it wasn't really much he had to do at the weekend, was there?
No, I think, like you said, he's been really consistent in our last couple of games, him and the defence. So maybe there's an element of he didn't expect the defending to be so poor for the goals that, he's just not, obviously he's switched on, but he's thinking they'll deal with it. So he's not expecting it to kind of get to him. And I think for both goals, it was very poor defending in general. I mean, I can't really criticise and blame it on Selvik because it's not really fair. And he's done such a solid job for us already. So yeah, obviously it was disappointing to concede, and I thought, like you said, we have been defensively quite good in our last, 3-4 games. So yeah, I think it was just disappointing to concede those types of goals as well. They were just scrappy, even was it the second one which was like the header?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Honestly,
just
that
didn't it?
That goal, I thought, is there a hole in the net? Like, it didn't even look like it went in. So when they all started celebrating, I was so confused because I thought it literally looks like it went over and then fell in the net. I was like, so yeah, obviously it's just really disappointing to score those types of goals, the fluke goals.
Yeah, I was really surprised because obviously Selvik's quite a tall bloke, so it just seemed a bit weird because I think the spin on the ball kind of took it over him and he was completely caught off guard, I think. I don't think he was expecting it. And I can't remember who it was. Was it Pollock, I think, that was supposed to be marking him? Yeah, it wasn't very good. And it was, like you say, disappointing to concede that sort of goal. Jeremy Ngakia, it's a really weird game for him because at half time in our chat, we were all like, Ngakia has been, excellent. He's been passing the ball around well, been getting forward, looked really good. And I thought, potentially on for man of the match performance, award, should he carry on the good performance. But it really weird because he just kind of, I guess, most of the team did, but it just kind of stopped, didn't it? And he just wasn't very good in the second half. And I was really disappointed. It was a bit of a half-hearted foot in, wasn't it, for the, the guy that took the ball past him for the cross of the equaliser. I thought he could have done more. I thought he was a little bit weak there. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but yeah, I thought it was a bit poor from him considering how good the first half was, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think it goes for a lot of the players on the pitch. Like you said, they all had great games. In the chat, in our WhatsApp, we were like, oh, Jeremy's having the best game of his career. Da, 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 da. The second half, it was literally like, what the hell just happened in that changing room? Like, I just don't understand what can happen to make you change that drastically in 15 minutes. Yeah, again, I wouldn't say Jeremy stood out to me that badly in the second half. I do think he had a brilliant first half, but yeah, I wish I was in that changing room. I wish I was a fly on the wall so I could hear what was going on, so I could understand what Tom said.
Reminded me, it kind of made me think of, Space Jam when they take the monsters take the basketball player's talent. I was like, if someone just done this and they've just sucked
literally.
out. But yeah, it was very weird. Yasser Larouci, I'll be honest, I didn't really put too much down about him because I don't think obviously no one did anything really in the second half, as we said, but in the first half, I don't really think he was used too much down the left-hand side. I think the ball, we were trying to get things down the right. Sissoko was used quite a bit down that right-hand side as well. So, yeah, it wasn't that he'd had a dreadful game. I just don't think he was in the game as much as what he has been in previous weeks. And I think as well, what didn't help, and you mentioned this about the swapping sides in the first half. I think that really didn't help, and I'm pretty sure our record when we do swap ends like that is actually really bad. I can't ever recall too many games where we've won when we've shot the other way in the first half. So yeah, it's I just don't like that. It shouldn't be allowed. Pollock and Abankwah, I thought were pretty good up until we conceded. Didn't really have too many complaints with either of those. I think they seem to, obviously, I don't think, have we said how long Caben's out for yet? Or is he another one where we're still waiting on?
I think they said that it wasn't his knee, but I think it's still after the international break. They said it was a different injury, but it's not as bad as they thought it was.
Right, okay. Well, I think, for me, I think Pollock's come back into the side and I think he's done a pretty good job and I think he's got a good partnership with Abankwah. Don't know about you, but I thought they played really well. Like I say, up until the goals went in, I thought they could have done better for the goals, the pair of them. However, it was great to see Pollock get on the score sheet, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the cross was dreadful, and I remember turning to my boyfriend to say, "What was that?" And then obviously we scored, and because the cross almost was going out almost. It didn't hit anyone, and then obviously Pollock just arrives, and yeah, it was a really good goal for him, and obviously it was nice for him. Was that his first goal?
His first goal in front of the rookery. He scored against MK Dons in the League Cup.
Oh yeah,
earlier in the season, so second of the season.
Yeah, obviously delighted for him. He deserved it, and yeah, like you said, apart from the goals, it's sloppy defending. But I wouldn't necessarily say it was sloppy defending from one in particular. I think it was just as a unit, it was sloppy. So I don't want to point fingers at Matty Pollock or Abankwah because I thought, regardless of that, they both had pretty solid games, especially Abankwah. He was making some really good challenges.
Yeah, his stats are just impressive. Every week, I saw some stats at Stoke, and he completely bossed the game at Stoke. He was first on everything: tackles won, duels won. Headers.
Sign the contract.
Yeah, it's it's one of those where you just we need to sign this guy on a permanent, but
yeah.
I don't know. He's impressive. I just wonder whether Udinese will just take him back and use him next season, maybe. But yeah, I would love to. I would love to sign him if I'm being completely honest at this point. Tom Dele-Bashiru. I think it's fair to say since he's come back from injury, that's probably the worst game he's had. I mean, he was losing the ball all the time. He was getting dispossessed. His passes were awful. I think I felt more sorry for Imran Louza because I felt like he was doing more work because he knew that Tom wasn't playing as well as what he usually does. There was a point in the first half where Imran Louza was he was one side of the pitch, and then in 4 passes, he'd managed to get himself all the way across the pitch, complete 3 triangular passes, and he was in completely different position. And it was because he was moving about so quickly, trying to get the ball forward. I was just thinking, if Tom Dele-Bashiru was actually doing his job and more on it, then he wouldn't have had to do that, and maybe he wouldn't have been as tired as he was when it came later on in the game. But yeah, Tom Dele-Bashiru, awful, wasn't he?
Really, really poor. I mean, I've seen a lot of debates on Twitter after the Saturday game. I know Lou Warnes has tweeted about Dele-Bashiru not really being a very good player anyway. I disagree. I think he's been very, very solid for us this season. However, yesterday was a really, really poor performance from him, probably one of his worst. He lost every ball. He looked non-existent. The midfield was obviously very weak because he wasn't there. And then, like you said, you're relying on Loser and Sissoko to pick up the slack, but Sissoko's not great anyway. So then it all falls on Loser. And obviously, Ramadan, lots of them are fasting. They're going to be knackered anyway. Obviously, Loser can't do the role of three people and fast. So, yeah, I'm sure that they were all knackered, and I'm sure we might speak about it. But I was really disappointed with Dele-Bashiru. He's someone who we kind of could really rely on, someone who we were screaming to be in the team. He's like a non-negotiable player now. So it was disappointing to see him put in such a stinker because it was dreadful.
Yeah. There's not really much else you can really say about it, is there? I mean, it was just one of those, he'd had a really off day. Yeah, I really hope he puts it behind him if he starts on Wednesday. I really hope he's much improved. Imran Loser, like we said, he got the assist obviously for the goal. He was great again with his passing. As I said, he can't really do the role for everybody, can he? And he's rightly tired. But superb, isn't he? Is it fair to say that, if we were to stop the season now and everyone votes on their player of the season, do you think he goes close?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, we've debated who it would be. My top three, it's Loser, Georgie, Matty Pollock. I think Loser and Georgie would be the closest, like, of who it would be. But it's got to be Loser for me. I mean, obviously, I don't no disrespect to Georgie because he's a great player, but you just cannot take your eye off Loser. And I think because he's not the new player, he doesn't get that like glamour that Georgie gets. Georgie gets this, oh, look at this new signing for Watford. Obviously, Loser's been here for years now. So, and he went really under the radar because he obviously went on loan and all that stuff. But if you pair his performances this season, his drive and ambition for the club, and his redemption arc, it's got to be him. He wins it by a landslide, I think.
Yeah, do you know what? He was really unlucky not to score at the weekend. He got the ball from Sissoko for a clever little knockback, and he tried to curl one in the bottom corner, and it just went wide. He was really unlucky. I mean, he's getting in some good areas, Loser, and I was really glad. Obviously, he got his goal at Sunderland, didn't he? Which was an absolute peach of a strike. For me, at the moment, the wins goal of the season as well. So he could potentially win 2 awards this season. Yeah,
he'll be like Hoot.
yeah. Let's just hope he doesn't end up like Hooten in a taxi leaving. Literally be devastated. Actually, that was funny at the weekend. Did you see Wesley and Cristiano go head to head at the weekend?
No, I didn't.
They literally, Wesley was man marking Cristiano Ronaldo at the weekend. Our times change, eh? I was like, wow. I don't actually know the result of the game, but yeah, it was posted. He posted a few photos, like putting tackles in and going in on Cristiano. So, talking of Moussa Sissoko, we mentioned him briefly. I actually think he was all right at the weekend. I was really impressed with him going forward. He looks a lot more lively. He was getting in some good areas of, like I say, he was got into a good position for the knockback for Loser for the missed opportunity. But I think he came close himself.
once or twice maybe to scoring. He's certainly looking a bit better since he's come back in the side, isn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't someone who stood out as being like disappointing. I thought he had an okay game, just a bit slow on the ball. Really, there was quite a few. I've noticed like recently he started to play quite attacking and quite far forward. There was quite a few moments where he actually was like running into Dumbia, like they were always in the same area, like just on the edge of the box. And then a lot of people were playing balls through to him, and then he just would like not get there in time, and it would go out because he's just not quick.
No.
So that was what I noticed from him, and yeah, just playing really, really attacking. When I thought he was more like defending, holding the midfield up, but every time I look at him, he's playing up top.
Yeah, yeah, it's really weird to see him in those advanced positions because, like you say, you don't expect it. But when we're trying to play like through balls, there's no way he's getting to him because he's just not quick enough. Same with like Kayembe, I think he's the same, isn't he? Like he's never getting to those balls. He's not quick enough. But I actually thought he was all right at the weekend. I've put here. I think he was okay. He moved the ball about well, along with everybody else in the first half. I can't really complain. I'll tell you what I was actually really pleased about is the fact that he didn't, because obviously Kayembe was playing in the more advanced role at the weekend. And what we've seen in previous weeks is if he wants to keep Kayembe on the pitch, is he'll move him back. He drops him into like that deeper role where we just know that he's not very good and he doesn't look comfortable at all. So the fact that he brought him off, I was like, oh, thank goodness. So I actually thought that he was going to keep him on, maybe take Deli Bashir off because he didn't look great. And it kind of worked out that, yeah, Kayembe was brought off. So, yeah. Do you think, because Kayembe's played an awful lot of minutes, do you think maybe Kayembe might get a rest this midweek?
The issue is who do you play instead? Like, it's obvious that Vata is not fit enough to start a game because if he obviously was really wiped out by this virus that he had, if he's not up to being able to start and he's only really playing 20 minutes, if that. Again, when he's come on, he's always come on in games where I wouldn't necessarily say he's had much to do. There was one moment on Saturday where he ran the length of the pitch and actually put in a quite good cross, which I thought was good from him. But again, I've not really noticed him in other games. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't really see who Tom would choose instead of Kayembe.
Well, I wondered whether he might try, because obviously he's given him 20 minutes now. I did wonder whether he potentially might do a 45 and 45 and maybe play Vata for the first 45 on Wednesday and then maybe bring Kayembe on. Obviously, he's not. I think it kind of just gets to a point where if a player's not fit enough, they shouldn't be in the team full stop. So if Vata isn't fit for me, he shouldn't be in the squad. I know we haven't got anybody else, but I'd rather a youngster there than have him there. And because obviously we questioned why he didn't. Was it Stoke? He didn't come on at all, did he? Or was it the game before? No, it might have even been Luton. Maybe
was it Luton? I think it was Luton.
Yeah, because we were kind of questioning why he's not coming on, and obviously it came out that he'd been unwell and he's lost quite a bit of weight, hasn't he? He needs to bulk out a bit again.
He looked better. Like when I was there at the ground, he was out training and like he doesn't look like he's been ill and stuff. And he had this illness weeks ago now, probably even a month ago. When was the first time he was out of the team? It must have been like in February, like early Feb. Like it's been like we're pushing up to probably about nearly a month. So
long old time, isn't it?
It's giving like hurry up, like you just eat some Big Macs, like if that's what you're lacking. Because I do think we really miss him, and it would be great for him to be back when Bar's here, so we can have that Georgie
Vata Bar, like link up, because that's where our attacking threat comes from, not from Bayo.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that I don't know who's in charge of the Republic of Ireland at the moment, but I heard that Vata and the Bank were both going to get called up for the next international break. So if Vata's getting called up for the international break, he's clearly kind of fit enough to play for us. So that's my stance on it. I don't know whether Tom may say you're not going to international, but you know what people are like with this club and country these days. Georgie, as we don't have to sing his praises. We do it every week. I actually thought he was really good at the weekend. I was really impressed with him. He was unlucky not to score, wasn't he? Had the chance early on where the keeper put keeper tipped a shot round the post. But yeah, his all-round play was positive. He looked great on the ball, didn't he, at the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the first half, again, I would say that he was brilliant. But I honestly, second half, everyone just dropped off, even Georgie. I have no idea what happened. Yeah, so again, I'll praise him for that first half performance because it was really, really good. But that, again, just really poor second half.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Obviously, we've mentioned Dumbia, so we don't really need to kind of say too much. Obviously, just gutting. I really hope that the injury isn't too serious. Hopefully, we'll see him back at Plymouth after the international break. And I mean, I think from what we've seen, we're going to be close to full strength after the international break, aren't we? Because bar Duomo, obviously Backman's not going to get near the starting 11, I hope. But those three will be back. It'd be good to have a full squad again, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait. I think, we saw our fullest potential when we were at that sort of before Christmas period, before we had those injuries. And, we were pretty good. And I think a lot of the games we've been watching and we've been saying, we've lost that because we've not had Bar, or we've not had Vata, or we've not had Duomo. And I just think that we are just missing Bar. Like, I honestly think that if we could just have him back, we win those games. We beat Stoke. We beat whoever we beat Millwall. So I am really looking forward to it. I think obviously it's pushing it far if we're going to aim for playoffs and continue to aim for playoffs. Right now, between the international break, you just try and keep yourself in the race. Don't let that gap get too big. Obviously, we're still in it now. Obviously, there's a very slim chance. But if you can try and keep yourself 3 points off the playoff spot, you basically will get to a point where, okay, international break, full squad is back, you're at your highest strength, 6 games left, you go for it, anything can happen and you might as well.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I've got Bio on here, but I'm not gonna. I don't think it's even worth speaking about him. We spoke about him at the beginning. Actually, it's worth mentioning. Caleb Wiley. It was great to see him Watford shirt finally, and I'm really excited to kind of see what he can bring to the side. It'd be really great to see him kind of when we've got everyone in the team and everyone's like back and playing well. I take it. I know it was very early, and you kind of woke up to and were like, "What the hell is this?" Like 100 notifications on Sunday. But me and Mike were kind of talking. I was looking at all the stats of the games that we've got coming up, like those tough games in April. And I know you're saying like, keep yourself within 3 points. I know Bristol City, West Brom, Burnley, Blackburn. They're all like loitering around the playoffs at the moment. Can you honestly see it? I mean, I don't think we've won at Bristol City since 2012, I'd said. West Brom, we haven't won since the Gomez double penalty save, which was, I'm going to say 2016, maybe 2017. I could be completely wrong there. Hull, we're not that great against either. We've got some games coming up that are just like stinkers where we've got to break some records. I think, I know we've not played against Portsmouth for a long time, but I don't think we've won there since like 2002. So, so there's some real hoodoos that we've got to get over there to get over the line. But yeah, I mean, is it realistic at this point?
No, and I don't think we will get playoffs. And as much as we want to, and as much as it will be great, we're not in a position to get to playoffs and go up or anything like that. Obviously, you want to aim to push and push and push, because if Tom came out last week and went, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna aim for mid-table and that's it," then obviously that's not being very ambitious, and you're gonna want him to say, "Yes, I want them to want to have playoffs, and I want them to be ambitious and that type of stuff." But for me, it isn't realistic because we're just inconsistent, and I think Coventry will 100% get that 5th spot because they've not lost for ages. But yeah, I just think the other teams in that playoffs race, if you look at our upcoming games, like on paper, we should really win, but I also just don't think we will because we like to make things difficult for ourselves. So yeah, I don't know. Obviously, we can dream, we can hope, but I don't think it's realistic that we would get them.
Yeah, it's gutting. I'm probably going to have to cancel that Premier Inn at Wembley.
Yeah.
For May. No, I'm joking. This is interesting that Ian's mentioned. I think for me, I think this one's obvious. I think Daniel Batman's off in the summer if someone's going, Caity, don't you think?
Yes, 100%. I think. Well, I don't know. It depends because I think Bachmann he'll want to go because he'll want to be the first. He'll want to be number one, if that makes sense. Whereas, like, obviously, Selvig's going to be our number one. Does Dan Bachmann want to sit on the bench? Probably not. He would probably want to be number one. So I think he'd leave for that reason. Whereas I don't know if Bond is happy. He's happy to be back up. But I also don't know if Bond's contract was only 1 year. I don't know.
I think it was only 1 year. However, I do think the club will extend it because I think Bond will be happy being a number two.
Yeah. If Bachmann leaves, I think they'll extend it.
Yeah. This is a bit of a shout, but I can actually see Daniel Batman. If Wrexham get promoted, I can see him being a Wrexham signing.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's the sort of player that will love the whole, like, buy into the bullshit that they've got going on there. All that real, like, oh yeah, look at us kind of thing. And, chance of having his face on plastered all over Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's nothing against him. I mean, obviously, I'd wish him well and I hope he'd do well. But I can 100%, if Wrexham get promoted, see him there. But yeah, just briefly before we finish up, Wednesday night, Swansea, they're managerless at the moment since they sacked Luke Williams. They got a good result, I think, against I'm just trying to think, Middlesbrough. They beat Middlesbrough at the weekend. What are you expecting from us on Wednesday? Hopefully a good reaction.
Obviously, we want to see a reaction, but I think they got a good win on the weekend. They're going to be, the spirits will be lifted. I think we're going to probably be rubbish again because it's just Watford. Yeah, I'm probably going to be a bit negative here and go for a loss. Obviously, I really hope that we can win, but I do think that we will lose. It will be something like a 1-0 loss or something. I just, can't really see us switching on.
Yeah, I agree, and let's hope we can put 2 45 minutes together. I don't know. Swansea, midweek against Swansea is never a fun.
No, I swear we never beat them.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I'm sure I remember we played them on a Tuesday night maybe 2 seasons ago, and I'm sure we lost in the 96th minute, and it was like horrendous. And I was raging over that for a few days. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say 1-1. I don't think we'll beat them, but I think this will be where the draw comes. I reckon we'll get 7 points out the next 3 games. But I think this will be where the point comes. Obviously, if we win, fantastic. We'll end up getting 9. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you ever so much, everyone, for tuning in this evening. We will be back on, I believe, Thursday. Myself and Mike potentially are doing a review of the Swansea game on Wednesday. So do keep an eye out for that. If you haven't hit that like button, please do. If you've got any comments about the pod, please do put the comments on. We will get to those on the next episode. And if you've not yet hit that subscribe button, please do. We're continuing to push the numbers up, which is great. And obviously, you'll get that notification every time we go live. But yeah, thanks ever so much for tuning in this evening, everybody. Let's hope we get a positive result on Wednesday against Swansea even, sorry. But yeah, thanks again and have a great evening. Come on, you Orns.